Hi folks, Slomida here again. It's been a while since I uploaded my last telemetry video, but I'm very excited because I gonna show you my Assetto Corsa telemetry with Ray Studio 2 software, and I want to show you. I want to compare my two different labs and yeah, in detail, and show you why the gap was huge or small. And I hope you find it interesting, but it's gonna be a long video because I want to analyze every corner. And of course, I'm gonna analyze only the driver's inputs. I'm not gonna focus on the car itself. I only show you what the driver does behind the steering wheel. So let's start. And here I have my one stint around Nürburgring. So let's load the file, and yeah, let's take two different laps. The green one is the fastest, and let's take another lap. I don't know, let's say this one, which is 2.3. I mean 20.3, and here we have 1:59.5. So the gap is roughly 8 tenths of a second. Okay, so one thing. Here we have an option per lap color, and it's very useful because if we select it, then all the channels from one lap have the same color, and all the channels from the second lap or more laps, if you load more laps, also have their one color. So in my case, it's green for the quick lap, I mean the quickest, and the red for the slower lap. Okay, what you see in front of your eyes? In front of your eyes, you see actually most important channels from driver's point of view. We have the most important, the queen of the channels, or the king of the channels, which is speed. Speed is always what you look at most, because the faster you are, the quicker times you do. Okay, the second is throttle, self-explanatory. Brake, also self-explanatory. Steer angle, so how much you turn your steering wheel. When the value is negative, we turn right. When the value is positive, we turn left. And the last option, also very important when you compare different laps or drivers, the reference, which shows you the gap, the actual gap between two or between analyzed laps. And because the green lap is faster, that's our reference lap. So as you can see, the green line is flat, and whenever the red is above the green, the red is slower. Whenever it's below the green, the red is faster. Okay, and with all this knowledge, we can start analyzing two laps around German track. Okay, but let's show track map first. That's the Nürburgring, as you can notice. And let's start. We are on the start finish line. You can see that this cross is moving, and yeah, we approach the first turn. Before we approach, look what is already interesting. Look that on the straight the gap goes up, and we are flat out. What does it mean? It means that I exit the corner, the last corner on my, let's say on the red lap, slower. Thus, carrying less speed, and that's what happens. I start losing before the first corner. The gap isn't huge, less than 1/10 of a second, but still, it's the gap. Okay, so we start approaching turn number 1. Uh, let's see the difference between braking points. Brake is here, and as you can see, I start braking earlier on the green lap. Remember, the green lap is the quicker, the red is the slower. And we start braking. And what happens? Before braking, I was slightly quicker on the green lap, less or roughly 1 km per hour. And what happens? I start braking earlier on the green lap, so, which is obvious, braking, I carry more speed on the red lap. And look that I'm longer full brake on the green lap. And what happens? The gap goes down. Look here. I release the brake slower on the green lap. You can see it here. And that's why entering or at the apex of turn 1, I'm quicker on my on the red lap by more than 1/10 of a second. One last thing, those are the downshifts. So yeah, there's out down. I mean, I use manual. I mean sequential gearbox, and I don't blip. Those are the downshifts. Okay, and what happens? We exit turn number 1. Look that I'm faster on the throttle, or I start applying the throttle faster on the green lap, but what happens? Then I release the throttle fully, I think. Yeah, fully. Then again I press the throttle, and then it's full throttle, which isn't good, because remember, you should avoid something like pressing the throttle, then releasing, because you notice that you applied it too early, and then again press. Try to avoid. It's better to wait a little bit longer, but apply and press the throttle fully, smoothly, in a smooth way. Okay, and as you can see, we exit turn number 1, and the gap goes up from minus 1/10 of a second to more than 1/10 of a second, so like 2/10 of a second difference roughly. And what happens and why it happens? Because look at the speed difference. I was quicker here on the red, but this is crucial. Because of this, I carried more speed. Look, 76 to 64, so 8 kilometers per hour faster on the green lap. So that's why, even though I was quicker on the throttle, I was flat out on the red. The gap goes up all the time. And look at the speed. Yeah, roughly 3-4 kilometers per hour difference. Okay, and now we're approaching turn number 2. As you can see, I don't brake here at all. And what happens? I start braking much earlier on the green lap. That's why the gap goes slightly. It's a very small difference. It goes down. Look at the speed. 29, 24, so 5 kilometers faster on the red lap. And then again I start applying the throttle, and what happens? I start applying roughly at the same place. The difference isn't huge, But what happens? I apply the throttle quicker on the green lap, and then again something I should avoid. This small dip, it should have gone like from here it should be flat. Not it shouldn't be this deep here. So actually the throttle work is better on the red lap, but it was slower. So that's why the gap goes up. Okay, so we exit turn number 1, 2. Okay, and now we are on the very short straight approaching turn number 3. And what happens? The gap is already 3/10 of a second. And what happens? I start braking earlier, way earlier on the green lap. And look, and this is weird. This is very weird. I start braking, then I release the brake a little bit, and then again I start braking. Another thing which should have been avoided. But look at the gap, which is, let's say it's stable, and look at the steering angle. What happens? What happens, especially with the green on the green lap? You can see these fluctuations, like left, right, left, right. So maybe the car was unstable. I think it was unstable, and I was fighting with the steering wheel because the red lap is very, very smooth, and I braked, yes, straight, which is the best possible way to brake because you have most grip. Okay, and what happens and why I again lost a lot of gap? Let's see. So what we know that on the quicker lap, maybe because I was more aggressive, the car was less stable. It's possible, but let's look at the speed. 10 kilometers per hour difference in the speed, which is a lot. But what happens next? We entered. Yeah, we are exiting now. Turn number 3. Again, pull throttle application in both cases. The green was, but both laps, both throttle work were pull here. Okay, and what happens? The gap is 1/10 of a second, and it starts increasing again. And if you know, we are here on this right hander. If you know the track in Assetto Corsa, there's a huge, very high, bump. I mean cap on the right on the inside, and you have at least 2 different lines through there. You can take gamble, and attack the cap, but it's very important to have good suspension there, or you can avoid the curb and take slightly different line. So let's see what happens here, and especially look at the throttle. Look at that through the corner. Yeah, the apex, let's say that the apex is usually the slowest point in the corner, but it's not always the case. But look here, it was no throttle here at all, but at the same time on the green lap, I was like roughly 20% of the throttle, and then more throttle again, a little dip, which should have been avoided, but even bigger dip in the red lap, and again I was much faster on the throttle on the green lap. And look at the speed: 4 kilometers difference, 7 kilometers difference, 9 kilometers difference, and a 5 kilometers difference, and here only 1 kilometer difference. Okay, so let's continue. Let's move on. Okay, and we are on the short straight. The gap is 3/10 of a second, and we finish sector number 1, and we approach the left hander, which then goes immediately into the right hairpin. And let's see what happens here. I start braking earlier on the green lap. I'm on the full brake roughly the same amount of time on both laps. But why the gap goes down? Let's see why. Yeah, because I started braking earlier, I carried less speed on the green lap, which is confirmed by the graph here. 65.57, so 8 kilometers per hour difference on the slow lap. So the gap goes slightly down. Okay, and now we are, so it was the left turn, and now we enter the right turn. And what happens here? The speed, the difference in speed is roughly 2-3 kilometers per hour. And and here, in both cases, but I think, yeah, in both cases the throttle work is good. There's a little dip on the red lap, but that's how the throttle work should look like all the time. That's a proper throttle work. Okay, so where we are here. Okay, so let's zoom a little bit. This section here, and what happens? We exited this that turn, and we are on the straight, 6th gear, and we downshift 3 gears here. And what happens? The gap is 2 tenths of a second. And what happens? I start braking at the same time, almost, but I am quicker. I mean, I start releasing the brake quicker, slightly quicker, and faster on the green lap. What happens with the speed? I'm because I released the brake earlier and faster. The speed, oh, now it's the same, but here you can see it was 2 kilometers per hour. But let's look at the okay. Now we are at the apex, and look at the throttle. And again here, the green throttle work is good. It's no perfect because there's no such a thing like a perfect thing in racing, but it's a good, proper pedal throttle application, and it's fast and relatively smooth, much smoother than the red, where for a while it was flat. And what happens? The gap increases a lot, from 1 almost 2 tenths to to more than 3 tenths of a second. Okay, and now we are approaching this very quick left-right chicane. And what happens here? I released the throttle more on the quicker lap, so that's why the gap went slightly slower, but it was very fast corner, so the difference in gap isn't that huge. Okay, so we are exiting the fast chicane here. Okay, and we are finish second sector. Okay, I lost myself. Here, okay. Again, here, okay, we are here. So we are at the end of the second sector, and we break into the left-hander. And what happens here? I start braking again fast on the green lap. That's why I carry more speed, about 7 km per hour, more speed on the slower lap. That's why the gap goes down. But look what happens here. It means that it's very, 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 very strange. I start braking, okay, and then I start turning the steering wheel left quicker on on the I mean actually at the same time, but then I had to notice that it's something wrong, and I unwinded. I mean, I turned the steering wheel to the right and then again to the left, or maybe because this particular place is very depend because usually it's very it has very unstable braking, that particular corner. Maybe that's why. So it's very strange. Very it could be investigated more. Okay, and look at the throttle. What happens with the throttle? So the gap went slightly down, but again, look at the green throttle application, which is very good, and look at the red, which is poor. This dip is very wrong here. We don't like it at all. So I'm much quicker on the throttle on the green lap, and that's why the difference at the gap is so huge. It goes quickly so much. Okay, so now we are approaching a very important corner where we don't brake at all. We only slow the car, raising the throttle, and look what happens. Where's the throttle here? And I release the throttle earlier on the green lap. That's why the gap goes slightly down. Then I have like a little, I don't know, blip, or I don't know, I noticed that I released the brake too fast or something. I wanted to give more speed for the apex, and then again quicker and better, smoother throttle work at the exit. That's why the gap goes up. Okay, so we are on the straight. Another the next corner is flat out. We are approaching the chicane. So sorry. Okay, we are approaching the chicane here. Yeah. So as you can see, I start braking. Maybe not at the same time, but almost at the same time. So and the gap is very smooth, very flat, very stable. But what happens here? Look, I brake. I mean, I'm full brake on the green lap much longer. That's why I carry more speed again into the corner. The difference is 7 km per hour. And look what happens from almost half a second. It goes to less than 4/10, so like a 1/10 of a second. So if you know the track, you know that this chicane is very tricky. It has huge caps, high caps, and look what happens. And I usually go through the chicane. I mean, applying the throttle between the left and right chicane for a second, and you can spot it here that on the quicker lap I was flat out for just a couple of meters between the caps, okay, and on the red I wasn't. I was only 58 58% on the throttle there, and that's why. Plus, of course, here this is the bump. I mean, this is the bump, the cap on the right. The second part of the chicane, I was on the throttle more on the quick lap, and again the throttle application. Even though the red lap throttle application was quicker, I look how much more speed I carried through the chicane. 10 kilometers per hour. Here, yeah, about 10, 11 kilometers per hour, and it was enough to gain to increase the gap. Of course, here the speed difference is less, about 2 or 3 kilometers per hour. Of course, okay, and we are approaching the last corner. What happens here? And the gap is already more than almost 1/8 of a second. And what happens again? Okay, let's zoom. Okay, here. Okay, look at that. I start braking earlier on the green lap, and again for the first part of the of the corner I carry more speed on the slower, that's why the gap goes down. But again, I my throttle work, my throttle application is better on the green lap. It's not perfect, but it's better than the on the red, and that's why again I gain here. Actually, I didn't gain anything through this corner, because before the corner the gap was roughly 1/10 of a second. As you can see, it's exactly the same. So actually, I didn't lose anything or gain anything through this corner, and I'm on the start finish line, and I finish the laps. So yeah, that was my comparison between my two laps of the same stint. So I hope I explained it correctly, and you could understand, and you could learn something new. So summing up, remember that entering the corner slower and exiting the corner faster is usually the key to be fast, especially when you race alone, when you don't fight with anybody. So remember, it's better to lose in the first part of the corner 2/10 of a second, but then exiting the corner, gain 5/10 of a second, which overall gives you 3/10 of a second. Okay, so not the opposite. You could see that when I was comparing my laps, that on the red lap, I usually uh, was gaining uh, on entering the corners on the red, right? But then I start losing a lot exiting the corners, because I was entering the corners too fast. So that's important. What else? My throttle work application isn't good. I definitely could improve my throttle application, but maybe it's not always about the driver. Sometimes it's about the setup, and the driver isn't comfortable with the car or something. So of course you have to talk to the driver and find out what happens and how to help, because again, remember, the smoother the application, the throttle application, exiting the corners, the better, and the faster times you do. So so you should remember and keep in mind that information. Okay, thanks for your time. I hope you enjoyed the video. I know it was very long, but that's how analyzing telemetry looks like, and it was only one lap comparison. So there's a lot of, there's much more things to cover, and interesting features in this particular software, but I only wanted to show you how to analyze two different labs. Of course, when you analyze your labs only, it's better to analyze more labs than only two, and try to find some habits in your driving. Uh, if you want to compare yourself to the other driver, then of course you compare his fastest lap and your fastest lap. And if you are slower, then you want to know where you lose the time. And this kind of comparison is very, very useful. So again, thanks for watching. Thanks for your time. I hope you enjoyed the video. By the way, one last thing I forgot to mention before. Uh, if you haven't seen my videos before, especially where I talk about the future Assetto Corsa league, I want to create a league, and I have already created a website. You can go to www.rsrgtseries.com, and it's not a very perfect website, because I'm not good at creating websites, but still I think it can be something special because I want to create such a league and be a driver or to contribute somehow to the most realistic league. If you are interested and you are a hardcore sim racer, which means you want to put the rallies up to the limits, then it's a great choice for you. So read the info which is on the website. And yeah, if you like the video and you want to see more videos like this, I will try to show and upload something more interesting, especially suspension analysis, which in this software is very good and is very intuitive. And if you have knowledge, you know how to analyze it, then it can help you significantly improving your chassis performance, chassis grip, and overall grip of the car. So yeah, again, thanks for your time. Thanks for watching. Share, like, subscribe, and see you next.